as far as the class meetings are concerned, they are required. And as several people have already shared, the guidebook that gives you some suggestions, it is good. It really is. And so we know the class meetings are going to be a good thing. The problem that I'm sure is on a lot of your minds is, okay, when do I fit that in with everything else that we need to do? And I understand, and there's no perfect solution to that. But I just want to throw out just a couple of thoughts to you. You're going to have to be creative in finding the time for class meetings. You're not going to find an hour every week to do it. There just isn't that amount of time. We know that. But for example, when you look at your schedule, some of y'all may see that you come in from recess at 11:30 and one grade level goes to lunch at 11:40, but your class doesn't go to 11:50. Well, there's a good 15 minutes right there that you might be able to have it. But here's another option I want you to think about. We're going to talk a little bit about the Literacy First schedule Wednesday at our opening staff meeting. The Literacy First schedule system-wide still will be what it was the last couple of years of the 2 hours and 10 minutes, or 20 minutes, including that MERP time. However, here's a possibility. We talked as principals, and Dr. Hart agreed, as well as a person who did that survey on Literacy First halfway through the year. I'm going to go over that a little bit on Wednesday too. But the need for a little more flexibility, and by flexibility, here's what they mean. Not, well, I just decided I want an hour and a half for my flex groups every day. It's not that flexibility. But for you all to feel that if someone comes in your classroom and it's 10:05 or 10:10 and you aren't into your whole group yet, that you don't feel like the whip's going to come out. But now if that's happening 3 and 4 times a week, that's an issue. But if it's happening once every so often, for y'all to know, we've got to trust you in that. And the central office has agreed with that. Here's why I mentioned that. It may be that every other Monday, for example, and I just haven't thought through this enough yet, everybody starts off your day pretty much with MERP time with the new schedule for the most part. So it could be that every other Monday we may say, perfect time to do your class meeting. Okay? And try to find time for your MERP later in the day. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, but try to be diligent. If you find 10 more minutes, math gets done a little early, do some MERP time then. But for us to maybe at least set every other Monday, because I think it's important to start off the day with a class meeting, if at all possible. Some of y'all may disagree and may not want to do that. So just know we don't have anything set in stone of when you're going to do this. We're going to have to be flexible, but we also have to be diligent in doing the other requirements that we have for our system.
So not every week like it said on there, it would be like an every other week?
What I'm just saying is I don't really know that we can say every week take that first MERP time. That
Right.
doesn't mean that you won't need to find another time. And again, we haven't talked about this as a system. Ideally, you do this every week and have a class meeting, and that's ideal. Are we really going to be able to find time every week? We may not. There's really no Ulvaeus police that's going to make sure that you didn't do it 4 times that month. But y'all, we know it's like anything else. You just have it 1 time this month and twice next month. Your kids aren't going to benefit by this. So we just don't know all those answers yet, to be honest. I'm just trying to let y'all know we're trying to be flexible, but we're learning with you, okay? All right. Last thing I want to mention before break. Yes.
I know we told you the first 6 meetings or 5 meetings are pretty much laid out for you, so I know in my mind I'm going, okay, what am I going to discuss the rest of the year? There is a document on on the red DVD that you're going to get that are sentence starters for your class meetings, and it ranges the gamut from something I learned today is to the best and worst part of my day was, my favorite subject because all of these class meetings are not going to deal with bullying issues. These are class meetings to get your children comfortable with being in your room, comfortable with you, comfortable with talking in front of others, so they're not intimidated in any situation. So don't think that everything you talk about has to revolve around your contract or around the 4 rules. Now, granted, we want a lot of that to be there, but there is a suggestion. There's like 31 sentence starters on here, so you can pick and choose what's appropriate at the time. So it's not like you're expected to just pull this out of your head and say, oh, well, this week, what are we going to talk about? It's done for you, so don't stress over that part.
And that helps the children to kind of unify and become
Yes.
a nice group
So they-
of
we-
caring students.
This
that
whole
will-
concept of being,
try to take
not
care of
being
each other.
intimidated and being willing to speak up, that helps us move that circle. You see what I'm saying? So that's the goal in this.
What about support personnel? What would you like for us to do as far as the meetings?
And again, that's something else we haven't discussed, so I'll just share this one first, because I thought of that during the discussion there, and that is, typically, you all will not have these regular meetings. For one thing, then things are gonna be repeated when kids are with you and when they're with the, plus you don't have as much time during the day. But it may be helpful if you see something and you see, I really need to get my kids together, we're gonna have to meet about this next week, because I'm seeing something. I would talk to, first of all, that class, if it's coming from one class, and see if there's a session they haven't done yet, and talk with Cynthia or the others, and there may be one of these sessions that would be perfect for you to do. So we don't want to say, don't use it, but we don't expect you to have these regular meetings. This is for the regular classroom. So, all right, again, let me mention one thing then that's a little transition here before break. We started off by talking about the who, what, when of bullying. And with the who, it was mentioned that yes, sometimes parents can be bullied, and we've all felt that. Sometimes a teacher can be a bully, either to another teacher or to the kids. And so that is not the primary focus of the Alveus program. It's primarily dealing with student bullying. But there is a section in here because they do recognize, yes, that can be an issue, and we need to at least be aware of it. So I just want to mention a couple of things. There was an article written a number of years ago about bullying, and it says, "Are you a bully?" And it almost reads like you might be a bully if, you know, the things like you might be in a redneck church if. One of my favorite is you might be in a redneck church if the pastor asked Bubba to stand up and help collect the offering, and 2 men and 3 women stand up. So this kind of reads that way, but I just want to read just a couple of these to you. This first one you've probably heard many times, and it's, those who can manage their classrooms, those who can't manage their students. The former are educators, the latter are bullies. And that's one that we've probably heard a lot. But here are a few other things that may just make you think about, could I be perceived by that child as being a bully here if this is the way I leave my classroom? Educators let the students know they care. Bullies let students know who's boss. And by the way, when you all hear these, when I read them, I had a teacher come to mind that I had, and so that may happen with you all. Educators teach self-control. Bullies exert their own control. Educators may diffuse minor disruptions with humor. Not me, of course. I never go that way. Bullies use sarcasm to turn disruptions into confrontations. And just a couple more. Educators address misbehavior. Bullies attack the character of the misbehaviors. Educators highlight good behavior. Bullies make examples of poor behavior. So I know that no one here wants to be perceived by kids as being a bully, but if you kind of wonder, well, I have a loud voice, or I get excited a lot, I wonder if the kids are thinking this. What I encourage you to do, we are not going to take the time to do this now. Part of it would be that we would take 20 minutes, you'd actually fill out the survey and we'd discuss it. This is one of the ways we're shaving time off today. But you all are getting a copy of this, and I just encourage you, you may want to do it over a break or do it over the next week, because if you don't, you won't do it. You know, if you don't do it the next few days, it goes in the file. But it basically is just a teacher bullying survey, and there are simply 25 statements, and you circle whether or not you strongly disagree, agree, or if that's kind of the way you tend to think. And then there's a scale on the back, and depending on your ratings, it will tell you whether or not you are power dominant, balanced, or power lax. And I think it just might give us an idea, is this something that we need to be aware of, even though the majority of this program is about students. So we're going to go ahead and take 10 minutes. Okay. So, Robin has something before you get up, but take a 10-minute break and then we'll get started.
on the